Warning, this may be difficult to watch if you've ever had a knee injury. This is the G-Shock GPR H1000, the third generation Rangeman, and I have a problem with it that I want to show you, that when you go to splay the band out too far, what happens is that this kneecap looking piece starts coming up, so the band puts leverage on this kneecap, and it also pushes down on the joint. And over time, and I've only had this watch for about a month, it seems to have bagged out where these screws go in. And these are like shoulder bolts that hold on this strap. All right. And so I made a video about this yesterday. Got a lot of comments. We're going to go through some of them. But I'm kind of switching the analogy that I was using. In the previous video, I was using a shoulder analogy, calling it an impingement. But looking at this closer, this is more like a kneecap right here. And why is it here? Like, what does G-Shock have against bands splaying out? Like, I understand that there's a strategic reason why on G-Shocks, the bands don't always close in all the way. They do this because, you know, since G-Shocks are pretty wide lug to lug, if you have a small wrist, these wings will take up the gap, and when the wings prevent the watch from going all the way in, they'll follow the contour of your wrist, if you can imagine a smaller wrist in here. But this leads to a problem with G-Shocks. Why I've never owned a G-Shock until a few years ago is that they're not good for big wristers because they don't go out all the way. Okay? Now, let me just show you here in the good old-fashioned G-Shock bag, which I did not buy, or I did not intend to buy. I didn't buy it. But the GBDH 2000, finally, a G-Shock watch where the band splays out all the way. Okay? They finally allowed us to splay the band out all the way. And it's great. See how that center lug is straddled by the band? And there's a lot of articulation there. So for a big wrister, this GBDH 2000 is terrific. Okay? Now you look at this Rangeman, and it's like the G-Shock saying, nope, we're not going to allow you to splay out that band. And the problem is that it's putting leverage on these shoulder bolts, these screws. Look how far down that goes. Now, obviously, my wrist isn't that big that it needs to splay out all the way, but when you're wearing the watch, you know, you're going to bump into stuff, right? So I have it on, it's not too tight. And by the way, my wrist is about 8.5 inches. It's actually a little bit less now because I've lost a lot of weight, thanks in part to these fitness watches that I've been wearing. They have helped me lose weight. I do like them. But if you have the watch on and then you bump into something, which is you're likely to do on account of it being like 3/4 of an inch thick, it's gonna put stress on where the band is held down onto the watch. Okay, and you know, you want stuff to bend before it breaks, so it's all right that, you know, you see the band itself flexing, but it's not good to see the screw getting pulled down like that. Okay, and so you can see how far out the band is splayed. It's pretty much already touching. So any type of bumping is going to splay it out further. Not that the watch is splayed out for the circumference of my wrist, but just when you live an active lifestyle, you're going to bump your watch, okay? And this has been a lifelong thing for me. I've always been a big wrister, you know, even as a teenager. And back in the day, you know, I'd go to Caldors to buy my watch. You know, I'd just buy like a regular old Casio or Timex, usually a Timex, find out what the lug width is. Let me find a regular looking watch. We'll use this one as an example. Find out what the lug width is and then get an extended wristband. So, you know, back in the day, you have to buy a watch and an extended wristband if you're a big wrister. And G-Shock doesn't have extended wristbands, you know, for sale. And so the first G-Shock I got was this one, the GXW56BB. I was like, wow, this is huge. This band fits. Will actually fit, and it did. It was great, but it's really thick. And, I actually prefer more diminutive, thinner watches like this because, when you're big, you bump into doorways, door jams will rip your watch off. And I used to be a mover. I lost a lot of watches bumping in the door jams. But anyways, this is a problem, okay? And some people in the comments, are getting defensive about this watch. With me demonstrating these problems. And part of the reason is, I'm trying to get information out there so that it will help you make an informed decision about whether or not to buy this watch. So whether this will be a problem for you, based on my assessment right now, will depend on your wrist size, okay? If you're like a small wrister and you have the watch on tight, it may not be a problem at all. I don't know. Okay? And a lot of people are accusing me of abusing the watch, with all of the diesel and motor oil and hydraulic oil, everything that I've dunked these watches in, saying that maybe it had a detrimental effect. If it did, then I can't wear the watch. Okay? You guys have to understand that the reason why I dunk this in diesel is because I get splashed with diesel all the time. I work in the oil field. I operate oil field equipment. When I'm doing maintenance on oil field equipment, like changing diesel filters, I'm like a bull in a china shop, all right? I end up getting stuff on me, all right? My wife says that my clothes come out of the dryer smelling like diesel. Meaning they go into the washer. We use extra Dawn dish soap to help cut down all the oil in diesel. But after being washed and dried, my clothes a lot of times still smell like diesel, right? So anyways, that's a legitimate test. And when I first started testing these G-Shocks, the Mudman is the first one that I really started tough testing. And it's developed a really nice patina from all of the diesel and the sun. It already has a really nice worn-in look. I love this watch. This is the GW9500, really durable. But anyways, I said when I'm tough testing this, I'm like, it lives or dies on my wrist. The tough tests are on my wrist. I'm not going to take off the watch and start beating it with a hammer. And I think that's ridiculous. And these off-the-wrist tests are stupid for two reasons. Number one, obviously the stuff's going to break, right? I saw someone put a G-Shock in one of those hydraulic presses that come down and smush anything. And of course it broke. I saw one where a guy ran over a G-Shock with a tank. And someone told me recently someone took a GBDH 2000 and threw it out a 3-story window and it broke. Well, of course. I mean, are you going to jump out of a 3-story window? No. Okay, so that's kind of a ridiculous test. All right? So there has to be a limitation, like a constraint, let's just say, on what kind of tests we put these watches through, okay? And just to rein it in, I said that these tests I'm going to be wearing the watch when I test it. So if we are going to be beating it with a hammer, I'm going to be wearing it, which, we haven't done. But there is one vlog where, just for a joke, I put the GBDH 2000 down on the table and hit it with a mallet when I picked up my boys from their woodworking class, okay? So that's the deal. Because if I were to just not be wearing the watch and subject to any test, you guys would be in the comments would be saying, suggesting ridiculous things that obviously would break the watch. Obviously has a breaking point, okay? And these G-Shock. The other thing too about all those crazy tests is that the whole point of the watch is that the watch still works. Obviously, the bands can tear and stuff like that. So, the GPR H1000, all right, I obviously have subjected it to diesel, hydraulic fluid, used motor oil, stuff like that, primarily for the buttons, to see if the buttons were as mud resistant as claimed, and the buttons are good. Now, the heart rate monitor also worked after being subjected to oil, even immediately after being subjected to oil. So I think that's pretty good. And what appeals to me about the Rangeman, the GPR H1000, is that it can go from work to workout. And if you have, a blue collar job where it's practically a workout, your heart rate monitor can track that and mix that into your actual gym workouts in terms of assessing your workout level, your cardio status, etc. So I did enjoy using this watch, and I am disappointed that it has this problem. Okay, and excuse me, I'm going to leave the door open for the fact that I'm stupid. All right, I'm like a high double-digit IQ, kind of a dummy, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. All right, if I am, go ahead and let me know. But this problem that I'm observing is just from usage. I've just been wearing it. I work in an oil field and I work out, and I'm like I said, I'm a bull in a china shop kind of guy, and I don't, I like, going out and roughhousing and having fun playing. Anyways, let me just take this off so we can look at again this problem. Actually, let me demonstrate it again, because this sounds crazy, but yesterday I published the video where, obviously, I want to show everybody, hey, this problem, especially if someone's thinking about buying it, right? And after I published it, I was like, I wonder what P. Parmar is going to say. P. Parmar is a commenter. He's a YouTuber who is a huge fan of this Rangeman, and he is a defender of this Rangeman. And he went to war with Garmin bros over the Rangeman. He loves it. And after publishing this problem, I was like, wonder what he's going to say. Well, he jumped into the comments and he said, my bolts on my Rangeman don't move like yours. Mine are solid. You have done something deliberate. I can see. Gentlemen, I've not done anything deliberate to sabotage this watch. All right? Like I said, I've just been wearing it. And I want to get this information out, not to trash G-Shocks. I mean, look at, why would I want to trash G-Shocks, right? What kind of agenda would I have? I don't want someone to spend $500 if the situation that caused this problem for me might cause it for you. Maybe we can, by investigation, determine that this is operator error. This is wear error. This Jim Kinkade did this. Maybe we can determine that, and I'm open to that. I'm open to being lambasted. I've been getting a lot of negative comments lately, people ripping on me. I understand, it's fine, you can rip on me. And if it's a legitimate rip, then we're going to roll with it, okay? Rip and roll, that's what we do here. And P. Parmar, again, he said, you're just misusing the watch. Nobody else has any problems with the strap on the watch. And so if any of you guys have problems with the strap, obviously you'd want to let us know. And maybe this only happens on guys who have wrists that are bigger than 8 inches around. All right. So let me just show you again the problem. So this kneecap keeps the strap from going up. And when you look right here, I'm going to use the official pointer pen, which is the Right in the Rain Metal Readiness pen. I'll leave a link below if you're interested in this one. My brother sent me this one for Christmas. Anyways, this kneecap looks like it could almost fit in this little cutout on the strap, except it's just a little bit wide. So to keep the strap from going up, there's contact on this beveled edge, this angle of the kneecap and the strap. Why? Why? Why not just allow it to go all the way up? And this little cutout makes me think that maybe it was supposed to, but somewhere along the line, someone was like, you know what, let's widen it out a little bit. Maybe for aesthetic reasons, maybe because they just really do not want watch bands to splay out all the way at G-Shock. I don't know. This one slipped by that department. The no splay, band splay department was like on holiday when they slipped out the GBH 2000. Because look at that. That's nice. That's sweet. And again, I just want to repeat myself. It's not like I'm saying the circumference of your wrist is this big, you know. But if it's big and you bump into things, it's gonna cause it to splay out and stretch. If you live an active lifestyle, either vocationally or avocationally, okay? So anyways, this kneecap stops the band from coming out, and as a result, the strap pushes up on this whole bezel system because this kneecap is integrated into this whole soft plastic bezel, okay? And the bezel's like kind of sandwiched together. I don't even think you could like shuck this apart like you can on other watches where you take off the case back, you unscrew it. This one, the bottom's screwed in, right? But then the top, it looks like it's even glued together. I don't know if you could shuck it apart. And also the leverage of the band splaying up pushes down on these screws. And maybe for most people it won't be a big deal, but obviously for me, after owning it for a month, I noticed that the screws were loose, and I made a YouTube short like, hey guys, look, these screws are loose, what's the deal? And I tried tightening it up, and some of them seem to get snug, some of the screws seem to get snug. Like I snugged this one up just, again, right now, today, I have 2-3 inch pounds, not many inch pounds. I just snugged it up, not over tightening it, because on this Leatherman Arc, if you try and over torque something, it starts slipping. All right, so these are the top ones. I have it nice and snug. Okay, nice and snug. Remember, I did this yesterday. I snugged it up yesterday. It's already loose. Okay, now these bottom ones, I go to snug up, and they don't want to snug. It's like the dreaded threads have been stripped. It's, you know, it's what you dread is stripped threads, right? And so it's a shame. All right, let's take it apart. So I think that this band and the kneecap, I think that the whole analogy of the knee is better than the shoulder because of that. Oh yeah, and yesterday we pulled it out and there was white stuff on here. And I guess I didn't make it clear enough in the video. I don't know if this is some adhesive on the threads like Loctite that's supposed to be there, or if this is the threads pulled out. I do not know. But this is what I would call a shoulder bolt. Now it's small, but the point of a shoulder bolt is that you have the screwed portion, the part with the threads that screw in to either a nut or, you know, some type of threaded female end. And then the shoulder part has no threads that allows rotation of, you know, in this case it's a band, but on some of the equipment I operate, we have shoulder bolts on the steps. So you can stow away the steps while driving, and then you deploy the steps when you're rigging up the equipment. And the steps hinge on a shoulder bolt. And there's the other one. You can see all that shredded cheese. Fireman Fratch got a big kick out of me calling that shredded cheese. You know, guys like me, we think of everything in terms of food, right? So this is like, what kind of food is this? This is like American cheese, right? This is like a cheeseburger. This looks like a Burger King patty, and this is American cheese. Anyways, all right. So here's the center lug. There was a commenter who was kind of critical of the center lug. Snowland says the problem is from the construction of the strap holder. I think it's in the middle of the watch. The other watches has placed in 4 corners of the hard case, and the screws has the ability to get deeper in the plastic. In this case, the threads on the screws, which is very short, holds all the weight and pressure slowly and eats the threads in the plastic. So what he's saying is about the lugs. This has what I call a center lug. You know, you could call it a male end. and then the female end is on the strap, whereas a standard watch has lugs, and the strap goes in between the lugs, and this pin goes all the way through. Now, I kind of like this center lug idea. There's a lot of G-Shock watches that have the center lug, including the GBDH 2000, and I thought it was advantageous on account of it being like the strap has more leverage on the watch, kind of like stakes on a tent. You put stakes on a tent in the corners to kind of keep this tent down on the ground. The same thing happens with this type of band, because the band can be a lot wider. But he brings up a good point that there's only a few threads holding this screw in. All right, so do you guys see any type of wearing down of threads? And again, I don't know if the problem is the threads are stripped or there was adhesive that was supposed to go in there. I really can't tell, because it feels like it's still grabbing something. And it feels like it's grabbing threads. So I don't want to like pound the table and be like, oh no, these threads are stripped. If that white stuff was just, G-Shock Loctite. Like I don't want to take to the internet to say that, right? Say something on YouTube and have it be a matter of public record, and I'd be ashamed of myself if I was totally incorrect. So I'm being cautious about my assessment of this problem, okay? But does that hole look bagged out to you? Tough to say. But I just wanted to take that apart and look at it. And this may fry some of your guys' brains, but I do have a positive video about this Rangeman I'm working on. Where I talk about going from work to working out. I got some footage of me working out in the gym, so I'll put that together. But and then also there's another problem with the laggy buttons. So that video is upcoming. But anyways, I can't really see if it's bagged out, but this kneecap, you can see how it's integrated into this soft bezel. So while it's supposed to stop the band, it pushes up. And look, there's not much holding on right there. Like that part right there could break. That goes around that button. That could be a problem if the watch got like smushed down really hard. I don't know. I mean, it could be a problem. I'm not saying it is. So where do we go from here? I don't know. I don't know if I should contact G-Shock about this issue. I don't know if I should sell this on eBay. Be like, oh, practically new watch. Just a few little scuffs and scrapes. I wore it outside a couple times. For some reason, it smells like diesel and PB Blaster. No idea why. You know how those unscrupulous eBay sellers are. I think I'd just be like, as is. Not say anything else. Like you go on eBay and be like, item description from seller. As is. And then the other thing I was thinking about doing is modifying this watch. Okay, and the way that I would modify it is just to trim down this kneecap so that it can splay out further. But I don't know why they have a kneecap here. Like I would try and get the Rangeman GPR H1000 to be like the GBDH 2000. All right, and by the way, look at the GBDH 2000. I don't see any play in the screws at all, right? And obviously, this band is really soft plastic, but the screws are in there pretty solid. All right. So Yarrow Shen Dirt Drick says the newest Casio, the worst Casio. Period. Thank you, Jim, for telling what nobody does. Obviously, this is not a hype video for the Rangeman. I'm just calling it like I see it, and I appreciate Mr. Shendrick's comment, okay? Trying to help you guys make an informed decision. Stephen Kopko, who is a G-Shock Gigachad, says, the range garbage is a failure. I still wear my GPR B1000. Never had this issue with the strap bolts. All right, so the strap bolts with this Rangeman just happened to me. We obviously need more of a sample size to see whether this is just me, this is just Jim Kinkade's problem, or this is a design flaw. All right. And Termit says you suggested trying maybe J's and K's as a strap adapter, and which of course is ridiculous for a $500 watch. Pay more money for a strap adapter. But I in general I like the strap. You know, I like rubber straps because of how dirty I get. These rubber straps are really easy to clean. So I'm not happy that this whole strap system has this problem for me. And like I said, I almost want to modify it. And then as far as the screws possibly being stripped, maybe fill it with some type of epoxy and re-thread it, something along those lines. Eddie Jones says, it looks like Casio are losing the plot over the last few years. The quality is going down and the price up. I don't think I will be buying any more of the new models. Casio should take a step back. Take a step backwards and also do more field testing before releasing new models. It does seem very rushed, especially in the software. Like the software, it seems like they just wanted to push something out the door. And I think that the GBH 2000 is a really fantastic physical design. And the Rangeman, looks really cool. And there's some really cool positive points about this. But in general, like a lot of the commenters are complaining. And Eddie Jones had a problem. He is an owner of the new Mudmaster, the GWG B1000, and he had that problem where you had to just update the software just for the multi-band 6 to work. Kake Garcia says, that's what happens when a company decides to follow the rest of the companies that are trying stuff they shouldn't when they already have proven/reliable systems. I've been rocking my trusty Rangeman GW9400 for 3 years now, and it is an awesome watch with an awesome build quality. Best regards from a Venezuelan follower in Panama. All right, great to hear from you again, Mr. Garcia. And I do get that feeling that Casio's trying to get out of their lane, so to speak, with these type of semi-smart watches to compete with Garmin. When I kind of agree with the sentiment. Stick to the tried and true, and that's one of the reasons why I love the Rangeman, the Mudman GW9500. This is a new watch. It's kind of an updated screen. Excuse me, and it's a lot thinner than a lot of the other G-Shocks. So it's good if you're working on equipment, you need to get your hand in somewhere tight. But it still retains that simple interface of just pressing the mode in the basic functions, which it does well. and Mr. Garcia is talking about the GW9400, which is the model before this one, and there's so many fans of the GW9400. Bruno Bell 8289 says, I wear mine for several weeks, pretty much anything, including work. I'm a plumber, no issues at all. And so this is a GPR H1000 owner. And yeah, I'm not saying that everybody's going to have this problem. I'm just saying that I had this problem. I've only had to watch for about a month. It was just released on January 19th? It was, I can't remember when it was released. It was released not too long ago, right? And so it's possible that you can get away with wearing the new Rangeman without any problem at all. And Bruno hasn't had a problem with that. And so that's good to know, right? I'm not trashing the watch. You guys got to understand. I'm not hyping up this watch, and I'm not trashing it either. I'm just getting the information out there. And so it's good that Bruno told us about his Rangeman, because maybe you won't have a problem at all either. MW Boost, all that pulling in chemicals from previous videos probably hasn't helped. Mine seems fine. Wonder what Casio would have to say about yours. Yeah, I know. If I'm going to contact them, they'll probably be like, oh, Jim Kinkade, all right. And they'll probably hear papers shuffling. You're like, oh, yes, we were warned about you. And have you subjected your watch at all to any solvents such as, or harsh chemicals such as diesel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? See, I don't know what they're going to say. That's one path I could take about this problem is contact Casio and see what they say. Spirit of North says, those new models are all rubbish. I want back Casio from years 2010 to 2020. It does seem like the golden era. All right, I'm going to make an upcoming video about stocking up on the golden era of G-Shock watches, which includes the Rangeman GW9400 and a bunch of other ones that are still available. Stock up now. Ho Ann Santos says, the Casio G-Shock, since they change to carbon or other things like plastic, the quality is the worst possible. Since the G-Shock is like poop, I never buy another watch from Casio G-Shock. And the value to pay go up and the quality go down. I have a GPR B1000. I really think this new G-Shock GPR H1000 is a goke! Whew. Do you guys think this is a goke? Obviously meant joke. Yeah, a lot of the G-Shock Gigachads say this is like a plastic toy. Especially those who own the second generation Rangeman, the GPR H1000, which I guess Mr. Santos here owns. Adventure Madness 1299 said, how many people actually use G-Shocks to the extent that you do? Don't get me wrong, but if you want to hammer a nail, use a hammer, right? And at the time of recording, he has 9 thumbs up. A lot of people think that I abuse my watches, which is ridiculous. How could you say that I abuse my watches? How could you say that? These are G-Shocks. These are Casio. Actually, this is my church watch. Let me put this one over here. I do not abuse watches. Don't you ever say that. Unbelievable. First of all, the tagline of Casio G-Shock is absolute toughness. They need to put an asterisk after that and say, except for Jim Kinkade. All right? Is that what their commercials are going to be like? Casio G-Shock, absolute toughness. Except for Jim Kinkade. That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not like going crazy. I just made a tirade. Did you guys hear where I talked about how stupid it is to throw a watch out of a 3-story window? I'm 3 stories up right now. Okay? This is Pecos, by the way. What do you guys think? Over there is the home of the world's first rodeo. Right? Pecos Bill. This is his stomping grounds. Judge Roy Bean. Should I throw the G-Shock out of the window? Probably land in that dirty pool. And just have it land over there and be like, it broke. This G-Shock's trash. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to break my watch. I'm testing it, doing normal things that I do. People are like, oh, you got diesel all over your watch. You're going to get cancer and you're going to die. All right, well, if I hadn't have made that video, I still would have got diesel all over me. I mean, not intentionally, maybe not that much all at once, but the point is I test the watch in diesel because I, like a bull in a china shop, can't change a diesel fuel filter without getting a lot of diesel running down my arm. Okay, I guess I'm an idiot. Sean Marshall said that he modified his Rangeman with a 16mm to 12mm strap converter and had to use 2mm drill to widen the holes in the collar of the watch. And then he replaced them with Trex 2-collar screws. Then added 22 millimeter nylon Velcro snap. This sounds like quite a project, and I was wondering if he made a video about this. And he hasn't responded, but I did click through to his channel, and he did have some shorts showing his creation, his modification. All right. I'm not a NATO strap guy. I'm not a nylon strap guy. I like these plastic straps. So if I do modify this Rangeman, it will just be to keep that pressure off the band. Lots of other good comments, guys. I don't think we have time today to review them. So we'll keep this conversation going. But stay tuned, all right? Because we'll follow up. I'll see what Casio says. I'll get in touch with them, all right? And, and what else? That's about it. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kinkade. Thanks for watching.